Conservative Leader Andrew Scheer will be campaigning in Quebec today. He is under fire, though, for taking his campaign to Manitoba yesterday during a state of emergency caused by that weekend snowstorm. Scheer arrived at Winnipeg's Radisson Hotel, where dozens of storm evacuees from neighboring First Nations communities had been staying.
It's frustrating. That's my... See, look at now they're sending a bus like, shuffling us around like cattle. He should be helping out. If he wants a campaign to help, he should help the people.
As the evacuees boarded a bus to take them to new accommodation, Scheer responded to their criticism, telling reporters he wished them well and revealing he'd made an unspecified donation to the Red Cross. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has decided against campaigning in the province while the state of emergency is in effect. These are scenes from Manitoba, and hydro officials this morning are warning it could still be 10 more days before power is fully restored across the province. Towers, poles, just crumpled, badly damaged by Friday's storm. A state of emergency remains in effect. Thousands of people are frustrated. They're cold. They're in the dark. They're in the cold. They're in emergency shelters and hotels. The province is turning to outside utility workers for help because the cost of, or not the cost, but the scope and the job of restoring all of this power to so many is really enormous. Michael Serapio is following this on an hour-by-hour basis, bringing us the latest numbers, the latest conditions. What do we know at this time?
Well, there's been a slight improvement, and these are numbers that we're getting from Manitoba Hydro, Heather. Although we're still talking about more than 14,600 customers in the dark, without power, in many cases in the cold. So still an area of great concern here. Take a look at an outage map that's been provided by Manitoba Hydro. And you're going to see here, denoted in red, all the areas affected. The most affected by numbers: Portage-la Prairie, Norfolk, Grahamdale, and the West Interlake area. And as you said, Manitoba Hydro is predicting it could be well over a week before complete power is restored. Heather, take a look at some of the images that we're getting from the ground, because it really gives you an idea of why the grid is offline. You are seeing here broken hydro towers in addition to these collapsed steel towers. Thousands of wood poles have been confirmed broken, are in need of replacement, and this may not even be the full extent of the damage. Take a look at this statement from Manitoba Hydro from President and CEO Jay Graywall. She says the following: "This is damage on a scale never before seen in Manitoba, and it doesn't account for the additional damage we are likely to find once repairs begin. Our construction staff estimate that we may find almost another 1,000 poles that are damaged and are in need of replacement." So a huge task ahead to restore power as cleanup efforts do get underway. Manitoba getting some help right now, as you say. Hydro One from Ontario, Sask Power, Minnesota Power from the U.S. Just some of the authorities that are sending workers to help with the restoration, but without a doubt, still a huge task ahead, Heather.
The people who have been displaced, they need help too, and the Red Cross, I know, has responded. How are the evacuees?
Well, let's begin with the Canadian Red Cross, because they're quoting numbers to us, and they say in terms of people registering with the aid agency, more than 3,300 have registered, although the vast majority of people are staying with family and friends. Now, those that cannot, some are being put into hotels. Others, if you take a look at some of the images here, are staying in emergency shelters that have been set up, the biggest one being set up at the local convention center. But for those who have decided to brave it out at their home, still without power, it is only made possible with the help of neighbors. Take a listen to what we're hearing on the ground.
I thought just to help some grandmas on their yards and their driveways, you know, people couldn't move their cars, and some of them were leaning on the wires. You just had to pull it down.
Getting blocked into their driveways is pretty chaotic. Like, some of them have families, kids, elders even. I was more focused on children and the elders. A lot of people go through stress, anger, frustration, sadness even.
And as for the last gentleman there, he was actually going to door. He runs a gas station, so he was bringing gasoline to people's homes to make sure they were without. Although you have to remember, people in Manitoba, if you may not be hearing this because you don't have power, but those who do have family and friends, important to remind them there is safety tips to be aware of. Among them, do not use outdoor generators inside the house. Carbon monoxide, of course, a big concern here. But as you can see, neighbors helping out neighbors, power authorities from different jurisdictions coming in to help out. All hands on deck right now as we're still talking about thousands of people in the cold and without power, possibly for up to 10 days.
And that state of emergency remaining in effect this morning. Michael, thank you. We'll check back with you in the next hour.